Geez, the world's moving fast these days. As I was uploading my video on the $66 billion Coronabux stimulus package, the government went and announced another one, $130 billion. Before I could even start on that one, they announced funding boosts and a whole separate package for childcare and early childhood education. So in this video, I'm going to try to tackle both of them and just hope that nothing else gets announced before I can get the video online. Okay, so first let's have a quick look at some of the changes to childcare. These are dubbed by the Prime Minister the Early Childhood Education and Care Relief Package. See if you can wrap your tongue around that one. The Prime Minister estimates the package will be worth about $1.6 billion over the course of the next 3 months, and the gist of the policy is fairly simple. There's basically 3 parts of the policy that we need to look at. First, the government will be making direct payments to service providers. These will be done in lieu of other payments that they receive, some sort of subsidies. I think there's 2 that they won't be receiving. They'll be receiving this direct payment instead. I don't know how these subsidies work now, but presumably they're paid through the tax system or something like that. My understanding is that these payments will be direct to the service providers, and clearly they're going to offer some benefit to them. So these direct payments will start within the week, and they will automatically apply to all childcare and early education facilities. Obviously, the point of this package is to keep these childcare facilities open during the crisis. Due to people working from home, if they've lost their jobs, or they're just generally are trying to avoid contact with other people and protect their children. So childcare facilities have obviously taken a massive hit over the last couple of weeks, and this should help to mediate some of those losses. The second part of the package, and probably far more beneficial and important to families, is that childcare fees are being waived. So obviously this will mostly impact people who have been termed essential workers. It's kind of funny that now everyone who has a job is considered an essential worker, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. It'll be interesting to see if once school holidays are over, a similar model is put forth in schools where children of essential workers will be able to send their children to school potentially even for free. I'm not sure how the government will be able to kind of justify keeping childcare centres open while schools are shut. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Finally, the third part of this announcement is that every childcare facility will automatically receive the JobKeeper payment, not to be confused with the job seeker payment. I'll go a bit more into detail about the JobKeeper allowance later on, but suffice to say for now, everyone else will have to apply to receive this payment. They'll have to demonstrate why they're eligible for it. Childcare services, on the other hand, they don't have to apply, they don't have to demonstrate why they're eligible for the payment, they will just receive it. So as I mentioned, the other major announcement from the Prime Minister is the JobKeeper payment. The payment or the package is going to cost the government around $130 billion over the next 6 months, and it's actually one of the few payments or benefits that I've noticed that actually benefits people who are still working. The basic idea of the payment is that the employers and the businesses will be paid by the government. They'll receive $1,500 per employee per fortnight. The business has a responsibility to pass on the full amount, the full $1,500 per fortnight to their employees. So if, for example, you're on the minimum wage, you're working 20 hours a week, something like that, more likely than not, you'll actually receive a pay rise out of this. On the flip side, if you earn more than the $1,500 per fortnight amount, the business will only have to cover the difference in your wage. So for example, if you receive $1,800 a fortnight, the business actually only has to pay $300 to keep you employed for that fortnight. So unlike previous announcements, like the increase the instant asset write-off or payments going to small, medium enterprises, businesses and households both benefit from this. So for business, their biggest expense is almost always going to be wages. As a result of this package, they no longer have to worry about it. Now think about that for a second, being told you no longer have to worry about your biggest expense. Imagine the government came up to you today and said, hey, I know your rent's due this month. You don't have to pay it. And more than that, you don't have to pay it for the next 6 months either. That's a massive boon for businesses. For households and workers, even if they don't receive a pay rise overall, their job's just got a hell of a lot more secure. Add to the fact that even if employers are forced to cut hours due to economic downturn, workers are not going to lose out on wages in general. And a lot of people, because of that, just had massive stress lifted from their shoulders. So it's actually gotten to the point where ASIC has sent a letter out today telling real estate companies they need to stop recommending that renters dip into their superannuation, as apparently they consider that to be financial advice, which obviously real estate agents are not qualified to give out. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another package announced by the government sooner rather than later, and I wouldn't be surprised if it included provisions for renters to address some of the problems that they're facing. Whether or not this is done through direct payments to renters, by subsidising landlords that have missed out on income due to renters unable to pay, whatever the means that they use, and I'm not sure what that will be. What you can bet on though is that the government will ensure that anything they do will be consistent with their messaging from the start, and that's that this will be a temporary measure and will be implemented through existing channels and systems. Okay, so that about wraps up the two most recent announcements from the government. I think that overall they're moving in the right direction, even if I have some reservations, especially dealing with how this stuff will wind down after the virus passes. If you found this video helpful at all, please consider checking out the other couple of videos I've released on the channel. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time.